Hello, and welcome to the Texorcist Live. I am Shane Moore with Sue Ellen, and we will be here tonight talking about the wonders of lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is a dream during which the dreamer is aware that they're dreaming. During a lucid dream, the dreamer may gain some amount of control over the dream characters, the narrative, and the environment. However, this is not actually necessary for a dream to be described as lucid. Are some lucid dreams actually dreams or something more? We will also discuss tips and methods to have lucid dreams and much more. We welcome your questions, comments, ideas, and personal experiences in the live chat. So join us for an informative and exciting episode of the Texorcist Live. Take a short break, and when we come back, we will get started. But for now, we will allow the listeners to join the live chat. So be back in 3 minutes. And we're back. So anyway, lucid dreaming. What is lucid dreaming, and how many people have experienced being aware in your dream that you're dreaming, and how does that, what have you done in those dreams? Because the sky is the limit. You can do whatever you want to do, and you can fly, and you can levitate. I mean, just whatever your mind can conceive, you can do.
Think of.
Yeah. So, just take it away.
I want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And truthfully, it is a blast. I mean, it is really, really fun. I mean, I had one where there was this dinosaur, like this T-Rex, and it was just raw, and it was huge. But I knew that it was a dream, so I just walked up to it, and it picked me up. And I know it sounds strange, but it was like being in a movie where you're not going to, you know that you're not going to die from this, and
right.
So, but as far as the flying and everything, it's very, it frees your mind, and it's very, very therapeutic, if you ask me. I don't know.
Yeah, one of my, the very first one that I had was when I was very young, and I kept getting a reoccurring dream where all these monsters were chasing me. And, and they were always getting me, and I was always dying, and they were chasing me, and I was going through the same scenario again. And then all of a sudden, I just, inside, I was like so mad, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I'm dreaming. I go, and this is my dream. It was just like something, from out of, where the wild things are. And all of a sudden, I told them to stop.
Right.
And then they started listening to me, and I started having a great time. And I think that was the first time that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the main things is hey, Elaine, you have to ask yourself, is that your, is that, or is it something more? I mean, because it's, I believe that it's a mixture of both, because there's a lot of lucid dreams that I've had where there's a lot of very strange things like dream language, symbolism, and like you might have and this is just off the top of my head, you might have a blue bus, a pink elephant, and purple flamingos, and it's like, okay, I know this is a dream, but what is it? And that's the fun part, is interpreting what your subconscious is trying to say, trying to tell you. And many times it's warning you, or it's letting you know that things are safe, and that it's a go. So that's happened many times. So
yeah, and they talk about sometimes people have their own personal dream signs, and that's one of the ways to help you always to dream and to become aware.
Right.
Techniques.
And let's see, Lane, you say dream in color, black and white.
I always dreamt in color.
Yeah, me too. As far as I can remember, I mean, never was black and white. And maybe not, not really vivid colors, but yeah.
Mine is just
it was colors.
Like the world we're in now, as far as what I see.
Right. Now, the dreams to where that I was like, I'm not really sure that this is a dream, because like you said, I mean, it was like really, it was like I was really there. I mean, I had to pinch myself, and I did, and didn't even wake up. Now, that's that could be that could just be my subconscious, my imagination doing that. But because how would I pinch myself if I was in a dream?
I feel pain in my dream. I've had sexual experiences in my dreams, or in the lucid dreams. I just had, not even a year ago, I had a dream where I was literally just standing, outside on the concrete,
right?
And everybody's like, "Let's fly!"
Yeah.
And I literally just jumped in the air and started flying. And I swear to God, it was just as real as I am sitting here. And I mean, it's almost when they stop or when they don't happen, I get so sad because.
One thing is that Elaine, she nailed it.
Definitely.
I mean, says I think our dreams at times are situations where we are actually sending us experiences from a person. Whoa, yes, absolutely, absolutely, and it is like I've said when. We have all had times when we're sitting around minding our own business. We're not bothering anybody. I mean, we're doing good, And then all of a sudden, you just get so enraged for no reason. I mean, it just you're just boiling. Excuse me, and you don't know why. Or you get very, very sad, just out of the blue. Or this happened with my grandmother. It happens with my mother, and it happens to me. And I'm convinced, call me crazy, whatever. But I'm convinced that when I forget who said it, but he said, this world is a dream within a dream. What he actually meant is what Elaine said. What he actually meant is this dimension is just one of many. It's a dimension within a dimension, and when you think about it, think about the cubes being stacked. Or think about the beehives, how they're hexagon shapes or whatever. That's how physicists and the people at CERN. That's how they are describing these parallel realities, but a little different. So, yeah, that's amazing. I'm glad you brought that up, Lane. You say right now, a couple of days ago, I saw and talked to a person in my dream who I have not talked to in a long time. They called today. That happens all the time. That happens all the time. And we have talked about people that have Rh negative blood that the powers that be, they seek out the Rh negatives because they're more psychic and everything. But there are those like Elaine who are Rh positive, but she's dead ringer for Rh negative because she has the recessive genes. She has the Rh negative recessive genes. And so when we talk about Rh negatives, we're not excluding anyone that is Rh positive. I mean, we're not at all. I mean, and not trying to be superior or anything, but it's a known fact that people who are Rh negative, I mean, I've seen it so many times and still see it. We are very much like-minded. We're very interested in the same things, and there's a connection with us, and I'm not sure if people that maybe it's the same way with people that have Rh positive blood. I mean, I don't know, but I just know that I can feel a person. Well, most people that have Rh negative blood. So again, you have to ask yourself, what is it about that? What is it that causes that? That gives us that empathy, that compassion, that caring and mission oriented, and I don't know. Your thoughts, Sue Ellen?
I mean, it's tough to say because I want to embrace myself and what it means for me to be Rh negative. I don't know how much of that is actually kind of what's been programmed in me from what I've learned so far. I remember when I learned that I was a universal donor.
Mm-hmm.
I know how I feel about things. That means that. To me, I look at it like a universal, and I'm a mom, so I look at things like that. So I look at myself as like a universal mother, and I see that that's very much a part of my nature my entire life. I've always wanted to give. I've always wanted to help. I've always been a truth seeker. I've always felt different. I've always felt like I was an outsider. I always felt like I thought differently than other people.
Well, and the reason...
But I didn't quite understand why or, what it's all for.
Well, the, reason that you felt, different is because you were, not as those experiences that you had that we've
Correct.
had.
But see, my questions is us being such a small percentage and looking at what we've been talking about regarding MK Ultra and all these other experiments and even alien abduction, cover-ups that could be actually just a cover-up so they can experiment on Rh negative people and other people that have, crazy genetic anomalies. You know what I mean? It's not just Rh negative people, it's anybody that's, extremely different and they can study, for scientific purposes.
Right.
So, it's hard to know how much of that difference and things that I felt could have actually been due to outside influences.
Well,
I have so many questions.
Well, you talk about different. You're O negative, and that's what 7 or 8%. I'm RH, so if they're looking for different, they're
35 years.
They're going to come for me because since 1961, there's only been 46 people that are known to have had Rh null blood, and
So let me ask you some questions then.
Oh my God! Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
This is an ambush, okay?
So they say that the experiences of Rh negative, where they really notice whatever you call outside influences, investigations, or you feel like, the stalking, it's usually in high school and the beginning college years.
The gang stalking, is that what you're talking about?
Well, not gang stalking, or you notice that you're approached by different people or different groups or organizations that might want you, or you notice, you're being blackballed from certain places. You notice, you get roofied, your drinks get roofied, some crazy stuff happens that you can't explain. You have missing time. You have crazy dreams, where you wake up feeling sore.
Crazy dreams, yes. Crazy dreams, and I began being approached, just strange. wasn't really strange at the time. Well, it was, but kind of, went along with it. There were two men when I was in kindergarten and like first grade that would come to our house after school. I mean, this was after school when I was at home. They would come by and they drove like a Ford LTD. It was it was new, but there was nothing flashy about it. I mean, it was just a like an unmarked car. And these men, there were two. There were always two, and it was like the same men, or they looked the same. And if someone had have told me that they were twins, like fraternal twins, I would have believed them, because these guys had like the same haircuts. They were dressed the same. It was like I was like, what, 5 or 6, and I'm like sitting there, and I'm studying these guys. I'm like, oh, what are they up to? And they're bringing me coloring books to color, but these aren't normal coloring books. It's like they're telling me, okay, want you to color this entire coloring book, and when we come back next week, we'll take it and you can choose a prize. And I'm thinking, I don't want your crummy prizes. I mean, they were showing me like little cameras, and for most kids, I mean, like to have like a working camera back in the early 70s, that was really something, And I'm thinking, no, I would rather know why that in these coloring books there are flying saucers and there's like little gray, big-eyed guys that are peeking around the trees in these coloring books. Why are you giving these, to me, is what I wanted to ask. But because they were, dressed in suits and they had this air of authority, I didn't, I thought it would be...
And you were so little.
Yeah, I thought it would be, disrespectful. But even at that age, I did know that they were playing, like, one would have or he thought he had my attention with the coloring books and showing me the prizes and the rewards if I, colored the entire book, And what that was is, they wanted me to go through every page, and, they were saying, stay in the lines. They were wanting me to focus on each page. So, but
you're saying that they had UFOs in them and little aliens?
Yes, among other things.
So Shane, doesn't that sound like a whole setup to get you mentally prepared to be abducted by aliens? Right.
And but if I have been abducted, they brought me back. They're like, yeah.
But I'm not talking about. I don't believe it's aliens.
I'm
talking
about
setting you up so they can, experiment on you.
Right. Which is what it would be is it would be, in my opinion, it would be special ops or whatever dressed as aliens, so I would believe it was aliens.
Exactly.
When it's not aliens, And so hey Mona, glad you checked in. But anyway, they
wanted to make sure the microphones work.
Right. We had more problems in the beginning, but it's getting easier and easier. And
I know that.
And I have a new laptop now that is more than powerful enough to handle everything.
Yay.
And have a internet connector lock. It like locks it in, because the last 2 shows we've been kicked offline, and that sucks. I mean, because I have to reset everything and it chops the show in half. So I went through and downloaded like I don't know, LoJack for your computer or whatever. You know, it's like it is so powerful and so secret that I can't even talk about it. So anyway, but yes, they did that. But while
so that is just like, it completely blows my mind. Then, I mean, that shows it right there.
Well, that was just
Definitely.
the beginning. That was when I was 5. I'm 50 now, so.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's Shane times 10, you know. But what happened is they would have my attention with the coloring book and all the prizes that I could win, and you know, that I could get if I colored and I was in the lines and everything. And the other one would be like watching, observing, monitoring, and he would like be writing, you know, just jotting things down. But he was watching me. He was watching but what they didn't know is I was watching both of them. You know, I was studying both of them. I was monitoring both of them. And the funny thing is even at that age, I didn't care about their coloring books. I didn't care about their prizes. They came back every week and they got their coloring books, and they were colored because my mother colored them. I didn't color them.
No.
My mom did.
So what did your mother tell you later in life? Who were these guys?
Well, she didn't. What's weird about it? What's weird about it is she vaguely remembers it, and I'm like, you don't remember those guys that you know, that were part of the magnet program? This was for gifted children. And
it was under the guise of a program.
Right.
Gotcha.
And then about 10, 15 years ago, it came out that the magnet program, which was, you know, big here in Texas back in the 70s, early 70s, mid 70s. It turns out that was a CIA front, believe it or not, the magnet program. And
what? You mean your magnet program in your area?
The entire magnet program for gifted children.
Oh.
Which
they have magnet programs here too.
And if let's see, Moni, you say, did they ever figure out it was your mom? No, they never did. They thought I was just this awesome colorer, you know, crayon expert, you know, crayon professor. But this is the deal. Is, you know, people are probably listening and saying, oh my God, this guy's crazy. No, I'm not. Listen to me. Google CIA Finders program, and you will find Freedom of Information Act documents about this Finders program, where the CIA were involved in finding, so that's where it gets its name, finding children to experiment on, do experiments on, and study and things. It's aptly named. I mean, the Finders, and it's pretty creepy because not that they were going to abduct me, but hell, I mean, they came to my house, and that's unusual. Now, I've talked to, you know, different people that were also in the magnet program, and hey, Stacy, glad you joined us. And they said that they never came to their house, but they would come to the school, and they would take them, you know, take a group of them to like another room or something, and would, you know, show them different books, and I guess what you talk about, propaganda. Okay, Mona, have a good night. That's it's very strange because they came to my house, and when you think about it, that takes a lot of guts, because you're talking about a good. I mean, who?
So their protocol is starting very young and identifying certain characteristics. So they were, they're monitoring you right away. Did you notice anything else later on as you grew up?
Well, yes, I noticed that I was that I watched in school, and which is really weird, because the fallen, or the Watcher Angels, that's where they get their name, because they were in charge of watching and monitoring and observing mankind, as far as the Bible goes, and as far as Jewish legend goes. They were in charge of making sure that mankind did not destroy themselves. And so the Watchers, the Greek is Grigori, Hebrew is Iron, but these were supposedly angels that made a pact, and they incarnated into men, and went down, and that's where the Nephilim, the hybrids, came from, when they mated with human women and all that. It's very strange, because that's exactly what they did. They monitored, they watched, they tested, and so I've felt. Okay, Elaine, you say you say sometimes greater forces interfere with me hearing a podcast. It's like I'm not supposed to hear certain parts. I tell you, it is beyond belief. I mean,
still having problems hearing us?
I don't know. Do a sound check right now. I'm to the point to where that, I mean, everything I have now is brand new, and I have it's all professional. Even my cables. I mean, one 6-foot cable was like $70, and it's like, whoa.
So Elaine says it's scratchy, but she was replying to Stacy.
Oh, okay.
So about something else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just real paranoid right now about things going wrong as far as the sound and everything. Yeah, it's just been one hell of a ride these past 2.5-3 weeks. But yeah, so they would take me out of class, not just me, but different a few different students, seemingly in first, second, third grade, up to like the 6th grade, and then they would just overwhelm me with homework. I mean, not just regular homework. I'm talking like tons. I mean, it would take me hours to do it, and so that really turned me away from learning. It was was like, man, I'm going to school, and then when I get home, I can't even go play because I'm too busy doing all this homework. And then when I got to high school, they let's see, Elaine, see Stacy say it was late last night and the podcast was cut short, never to return due to unseen. Yes, yeah, that was unfortunate.
Horrible.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
It was a nightmare.
But
and then we have a different one put on YouTube, just another short one that got all.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was rough, and I'm just to the point to where that when that happens, all I can do is just start over. But I really like Spreaker. I like what they offer. I mean, they have a really good platform, but man, it's just not working. So I'm going to talk to them, and if something can't be done, then I'm going to go to another platform. It's just I say YouTube Live. Yeah, we can definitely do that, but when I
Stacy,
Steve
Stacy, I like that one so much. The second one, I thought it started so good, and then
it was just and then when we tried the second one, as soon as I went live, it kicked us off, and I'm like, nope, I'm not playing this. I'm just not.
I know. I think we're so frazzled now. I mean, we even started with dreaming. Now we're back on our negative experiences. But so much of that does play into it. Wondering if those differences in our blood, make those kind of things more easy. One thing that I have noticed about Rh negative, and I don't know if anybody else agrees, but I noticed the children are little rebellious hellions that do not like to take authority.
Well, with me, that was not me. I never caused any problems, and I'm serious. I really didn't until I got older. Until I was like an adult, or at least in high school. But as a kid, I mean, I never liked authority, but
if there was injustice, if I saw hypocrisy, I had so many run-ins with my teacher. I got kicked out of third grade because I told the teacher that God would forgive the devil if he was sorry. We got in this huge fight, and I swear to God, my mom had to take me out of the school.
Wow.
Third grader, a philosophical dispute with a teacher.
Yeah, they did not like me. I mean, I could be the only one in class when they asked a question with my hand up, and they would never call on me because I would ask them questions they couldn't answer. And so I mean.
Wow, did you hear Elaine? What she was talking about? Elaine, and you said you're not. She is a recessive. Is that what you were saying before?
Yes, I think so. She's Rh positive, but I'm for certain that she has the negative recessive genes. I mean, she's just.
She's a little smarty pants.
I was for certain that she was full, or not full, but I mean, I was for certain that she was Rh negative, and she said, no, I'm Rh positive, and I said, well, then you've got the recessive, negative genes. You have to. There's no way you couldn't have. And she said,
there's brilliant positive, Rh positive people, brilliant negative.
She said, I'm A positive, and asked, did they take you for reading efficiency and hearing and speaking tests frequently, and then push you further and further? I was reading comprehending at 400, 500 words per minute. They constantly put me in classes in art and learning French in third grade. They actually took me out of reading. Was like in.
Oh, really?
I think it was like in the fourth grade, and because I didn't need it anymore, I guess. it was just not needed. Yeah. I mean, it was like reading was something that I did. I love reading, and I would read anything I could get my hands on. But as far as pushing me, yes, they did. I mean, they pushed me a lot, and it would be like in junior high or in high school when I was a freshman. It was like they really poured it on. It was the school counselor asked my mom. It was during the first 2 weeks of high school. He looked at my grades and records, transcripts, whatever, and he asked her if he could give me the SAT that the seniors were taking, and she said yeah. So I took it, and he called her called her at home, and he said I'm not surprised. He said he scored higher than any senior here, but that wasn't a good thing, trust me, because after that it was like I was put in taken out of pre-algebra and put in algebra 1 and knocked that out, then put in algebra 2, knocked that out, then put in trigonometry, and then it was like I started picking up on this, I'm like, wow, they give me things to do, I do them, and then it's something more, and then they were talking about calculus and differential equations, and I'm like, no. So one day I walk in, and I'm all of a sudden, I don't remember any of it, I mean, I did, but I played dumb. And they said, we know what you're doing. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was so tired. I was so, I was just so burnt out that about a week later, I was in remedial math. And I didn't look back. I mean, it was like, forget that. I mean, they're killing me with
yeah,
this.
You got pushed too hard.
Yeah, and that's, what I tell people now, with their kids. Yeah, I mean, you may have a very, very intelligent child, but my God, don't make them hate it. I mean, don't make them dread it.
Right.
Make it fun.
Right.
And because they will certainly get burnt out. But yeah, that was my childhood, was always being pushed, and of course, man, I love a good challenge, but man, there comes a point to where it just gets old after a while. But
interesting going on the blood type thing, and I learned in the Army. That's how I knew my blood type, because we had to have it on our dog tags. But it was that meant, except I was the blood donor. I didn't know how many people in the world or anything to do. And then, of course, I had my kids and found out I was different and found out, the special shot. But it was probably about 8 years ago, just literally laying in bed. It was like, like a voice inside my head, not like somebody else's voice, but it was like, go check your blood type. And I was in bed, I was going to sleep, and I just was like, huh. And I kind of been in a spirit state lately, meditating and doing a lot of stuff, so I attribute it to that. But I got up, and that's when I started to research, and I got on YouTube, and then I put in my blood type, and then I started getting into all these crazy sites. I was like, whoa, what is this? From Savior to all the traits that we have. Yeah, it was, I think that was when my journey began about 8 years ago. And, and then it kind of like making sense, a lot of the experiences and things that I've, had happen in my life that were just absolutely crazy. and then I started researching and researching and researching, As a kid, I always knew that there was something wrong with the world. I could always, my gift, I could always look at people and see, and I knew the right question I knew when to ask them the question. Like I knew if I wanted to get the truth out of my mother, I had to get in there before she put her makeup on in the morning and ask the question. Because that was actually her protection, and I couldn't see, the honest answer once she had her makeup on. So, just really interesting things. But I don't know. What do they say, that reality is stranger than fiction? I think that's definitely
the truth is, stranger than fiction, and it is. I mean, it really is.
And the world's a very fascinating place, but I definitely don't think in types of RH negative as being smarter or, better, or this particularly. I do think we have, certain traits. Like I said, I don't know if it's because we have been picked out and picked on, and we're beginning to be aware of that now. All the attention we're...
Well, it's, like I've heard, people, talk about, they're like, RH negatives are special. I'm thinking, well, special's relative. And there are RH positive people that can do things that I wouldn't even attempt to do, because I know I would fail so bad.
We all have gifts. Everybody has gifts.
Right, which is what I'm saying. To where, they may be, have intelligence as far as being mechanically inclined. I'm not. I just,
But I know since I was a little girl, one thing that I can tell you that I've always had, and that I have always had a connection spiritually, like to the divine or whatever you want to call it. Even when I was a little girl, I had like an Indian chief spirit that would follow me around, whatever you call them, the invisible friends. And when I was really little, I called him Jesus. I was, raised Catholic, very, my family, I went through all of baptism, communion, confirmation, all my diaries my whole life are always Dear God, but I was having, conversations and experiences since I was really little. I was just, why are we here? What does it mean that we're here? And, the fact that people died, that one really got me. Everybody, it was hard, especially when people talk about God being good, God being love, and then I started seeing death, and, I saw, I don't know, it was really hard to take. And
one thing is, let's see, Lane, you say, I was in my mother's front yard one day playing with my son. My son sat in my lap, and as I hugged him, I thought his mother should value her time with him, and he passed away about 10 years later. That would be, would be, I don't know, a type of precognition or...
definitely.
Yeah, which...
and I think that's something that we all need to learn to trust, and I think that that's kind of been shattered, Dreams
are many times, they're precognitive. I mean, you're telling you something, that you need to watch, or you need to, and... Or
they help you work through things.
Right.
Help you face things that you couldn't, face, and, that you needed to have dream time or something, pretend to be able to deal with it.
Yes.
I face my fears by, stopping the monsters in my dreams from attacking me, and that gave me a sense of empowerment. Psychologists talk about using dreams, for all sorts of therapy.
Mm.
I know myself, I am going to devote and have been writing down all of the different kind of techniques possible, and I know I want to start getting back into that again.
Well, I just started remembering things just like a month ago. And they're not, of course, I went years, and I didn't remember my dreams at all. And I used to, they used to be very vivid, damn near visions. I mean, it was, but most of the time it was just, bits and pieces that I would see and I would remember, and then it was just nothing, just absolutely nothing, and that went on for years, and then like a month or two ago, just boom, I started dreaming and started remembering bits and pieces, so.
And that's what they say to do, and when I used to have my lucid dreams, I was literally listening to, like when I went to bed, I was listening to lectures out of body and astral travel, and I was constantly thinking about it, talking about it during the day. Constantly, you're supposed to use mindfulness and awareness and, ask yourself, am I awake? Do tests throughout the day. And you start doing that every day, too, and they say in the practice of doing that in your dreams as well. And you'll get the clue. Like, they tell you to, look at a clock in your dream. You might look at it and it says 12 o'clock, but look away and look back, and it's going to be fuzzy, be different. You're going to start noticing things that are off, especially if you try to read things. They say that's when you really start to notice things.
Right. I've read things or tried to read things, and it's like, or to put the make the words out or whatever, really hard. I'm not sure why that is, but
what do you mean?
In dreams.
Oh.
I guess they're dreams. I mean, or see letters at least and try to make words out of them or whatever.
Right. See, I have different ones though, and that's, you brought up that earlier, the difference between out of body experience and a lucid dream, because there's times that I've gone in and it's been in the dream, but when I have these experiences of flying, I literally am laying in bed and I feel a complete vibration take over my entire body. It's like electricity, and it's almost like a humming, and I have to breathe in, and then as I breathe out, the more I breathe out is how I start rising, and then I breathe, and then I try to breathe out, doing that till I'm completely out of my body.
Well, so when you leave your when you detach or you leave your body or whatever, do you see yourself laying on the bed?
That is an interesting. I am the only one, and I have been trying to ask people this my entire life, because I am the only one that I've ever known that I look back and I don't see anything. I look back and I don't see my body. And I am the only one that I've ever known about that. And I was calling up shows, I remember calling up Coast to Coast, and I even talked to George Norrie, but I didn't get the chance to ask that question because something got caught up, and I always wondered, what that was, because for me it was different. But no, I never was able to look back and feel my body. The first time I was, I think, 15, I was on my couch, and I started to get the vibration, and it scared me, and I was paralyzed, and I couldn't move, and then all of a sudden I started just rising, and I got out of my body, and I was like, what the heck's going on? And at first I was really freaked out, and then I was like, did I die? And then I said, okay, let's see if I can do something. And so I went over to a pack of cigarettes and took the cigarette out, and I lit it and started smoking, and I was like, whoa, really scared. I'm like, am I dying? Am I having one of those experiences, and what if I'm not breathing? And the fact that I was terrified that me being out and that I wasn't breathing, that's what made me go back in. And that's what made me develop a real fear of out-of-body experiences, because I was too scared of me or me not being able to breathe, or that I was really dying and I didn't know it. Like this was part of the dying process.
Well, the way that I've looked at it is that this may sound really, really weird. I mean, but I think death is an illusion. I mean, I really do. And the reason that I say that is because I believe, and this goes back to what Elaine said at the very start of the show about the parallel dimensions, parallel realities, whatever you want to call it, parallel universes that the physicists that they talk about now, matter of factly, it's no longer theory. I mean, they say they exist and they have proof, and I'm like, that's something that I've felt and I have believed for, and so I think that death is that yes, we do physically die, but we wake up, and it's like we are in another dimension, whether you want to call that heaven or another parallel reality. I mean,
another plane.
Right.
They call them, we're on another plane of existence. I think, Elaine, are you saying that I'm cutting out?
She's talking and her voice is cutting. Yeah. Mine? Oh,
no,
okay.
She's saying that mine is cutting out.
Okay. All right. Let me do a little magic here and see what happens. Okay.
Has any of you guys had experiences before?
That you may
not
have.
Not the lucid dream, but the out of body where you actually are experiencing yourself rise.
That you may have mistaken for a dream. I mean, many people do.
Well, it might still. I mean, I don't know whatever you want to call it, but it's different. Lucid dream, I'm just asleep and I'm in a dream and I realize I'm dreaming. But these experiences with flying, they always happen. The vibration starts with my body, the same thing, and then I know to make myself lighter and I start floating. And I mean, I float around my room, and a lot of times, sometimes I can't even get past my room. I try to break out the ceiling and I can't, and I'm stuck just flying around in my room.
Wow. Elaine says, I have walked others' dreams, which is what we were talking about earlier.
Ooh, explain that.
Wow.
That's interesting.
She says, the thing that I have is visions comes to me as snapshots. Me too. It's bits and pieces.
Well, mine are feelings.
Well, mine are a mixture of feelings, and the snapshots are like really, really small, just tiny, just bits and like confetti pieces, and so there's no way you can make heads or tails of it. But when you put it all together and you trust your intuition, you trust your gut, you trust your heart, and you put it together, and it basically it explains itself in a certain way. So
I call them like downloads. And there's times that I get information that comes in, or certain promptings, like go check your blood type, or don't do things, certain instances that happen, kind of private that about now. I knew something like this was going to happen and was very fearful and did not want to go on the visit because I knew about it and others weren't listening to me when I was telling them about it even years ago. So, I realized that what I was thinking about that issue was correct. and I'm just talking about a private family matter occurred, but, you know, and this is something, you know, I was feeling for years. It took 3 years for me to find out that I was exactly right.
Mm-hmm. That is interesting. As far as the out of body experiences, there have been times, and I've not had a lot, but several, and half of those times when I would leave my body, I guess it literally sounded like kind of like Velcro for some reason, and then I would when I would come back, I never remembered going where I went. It was like I was just there, and then I never remembered coming back. But what I do remember is you feeling like, well, not just feeling like it, but the bed would literally shake, because I guess my spirit would go back into my body, and it would like slam back in, and the bed would shake. And hey, Patricia.
Hi, Patricia.
Glad you joined us. And so that was really something. And I know
this is what Elaine is saying.
I know many people have experienced that, where you feel like that you have fallen into your bed, and you're just laying there. So maybe that explains it.
You fall and you wake up. You snap back into yourself.
Right.
So Elaine was saying, for me, I was in meditation and focusing on being with this other person who lived many miles from me, and started dreaming, or a dream-like trance, but all of a sudden I was with that person, describing his home, surroundings, etc. That is so interesting, Elaine, because when I was young, I taught my little sister that. I told her, you know, that she could do that, and any time that she, you know, wanted or missed me, wanted to see me, I, you know, told her that she can come and go out of her body and go visit me. And, you know, she described, it was a few years later, and she said that she actually did that, and she was describing my room to me. It was absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, that's, I'm not sure what it is, but I can, I'm, for as long as I can remember, I have been able to, I don't know, just, you know, think about, you know, someone, just, you know, focus, and just think about being with them, or, you know, think about being where they're at, and and it takes about, I don't know, it takes about 5-10 minutes, and then it's like, boom, I'm there. Although I don't remember, or I don't travel there. I mean, it's like I'm just there, boom, and I don't see them as I see them here. You know, it's like I see patterns, I see energy, and I see light, but not always. You know, there's sometimes that it's been very dark, you know, and so yeah, and I thought for the longest time. Go ahead.
I've had some terrifying out of body experiences. You know, I had some really scary ones. We were talking about that on the break. I was having out of body experiences quite often. I had probably, I don't know, my youngest son was like 3 or 4 years old, and we had moved to a small town. My husband was working the night shift, so he was gone, and I was going to bed, and I started getting the out-of-body experiences, and I was terrified. I was trying to stop them, and I was trying to stay awake so they wouldn't happen. And then all of a sudden I saw my husband come in and climb in bed with me, and I was like, oh, thank God he's home, so I wasn't so scared. So I was laying there going to sleep, and they started coming on again, and I started rising, and I was like, okay, he's next to me. I'm just going to let myself float up a little and see how I feel. And it started to happen, and I started to get really scared, so I tried to scream. I tried to move because I was paralyzed, and I finally grabbed his arm. And then I grabbed his arm, so he would help me, and all of a sudden he grabbed me and he pinned me down, and I look up at him and I saw a completely different face, and I just started screaming, "Angel, angel," and I started yelling, and I was trying to get up, and this lady was sitting at the edge of my bed who looked like a stewardess on an airplane, and she's sitting there writing on a notepad, and she's writing, "This is highly improbable, this is the program, yada yada," and I just freaked, and I finally got myself free from him, and I ran into the living room, fell on the floor crying, and my husband comes in the door. But that was what kept me from years not allowing myself to, fully develop the out-of-body experiences, because, I was so scared of the unknown. That's a crazy experience.
That is very crazy. That would scare anybody. But that's when, people start to say, okay, that was more than a dream. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm going crazy. They literally think that they may be, losing their mind, and that's probably not the case. It's probably you're experiencing your subconscious or, something more. It could be something more.
I definitely, think there's something more. If there's something more to this world, there's something more to everything. I think that's the problem. We're so used to either, keeping things in a spiritual box or keeping things in a reality box, and
well,
I want to live my boxes with them together.
Well, with me, I just speak it, and I just let the cards fall where they may. So Stacy is saying the first time that she had a spirit walk or left her body was right after a friend of hers died from a traumatic accident. And she said he came to her in a dream and didn't know if he was dead, and he was just acting as if everything was normal. And so he took me to his house, and he was in a lot of pain, and I kept crying and telling him that he's not supposed to be here, that he was dead. And he kept saying, "No, I'm not, I'm fine, I'm fine." I kept telling him, "No, you're not, you need to come with me." And so I took him to the cemetery, and I showed him his freshly dead grave and marker and the flowers, and it was at that point he realized he had died in the accident. And at that point I pulled forcefully back into my body, and he was gone, and I woke up crying, happy that he found his way, but crying that he had been lost. I got chills, Stacey. Wow. That's intense.
That is absolutely beautiful. Oh, it really.
And Patricia says, so where people feel like they're falling and suddenly snap back into reality right as they're about to hit the ground. Is that an actual dream, or is that an after image of the lucid dreaming out-of-body experiences? Good question. I don't know.
See, I've actually hit the ground. I've died in my dreams. I've fallen off cliffs and literally died, and I went through my dreams where I died, and then it was like I was reincarnated into another dream. very, very interesting. But I know they've always said if you die in your dream, but I've died several times. So
yeah. I mean, just throw those rules out the window, because whoever said that, that's absolutely crazy. I mean,
but it's terrifying. Just think about
there's rules. Well, you can't die in your dream. Really?
Well, imagine people talk about having out-of-body experiences when they die. They pop out of their body. They look down. They see their body.
They see what now?
Huh?
What now? You said
it's logical.
You're breaking up.
Oh, okay.
You said that they see their body. Is that what you say?
Well, it's logical to be scared because people talk about having a near-death experience, and out-of-body experiences are very similar. So, I mean, who's one to say that you're not having a heart attack or having a stroke and not knowing it, and your body, you're having the out-of-body experience because you're about to die? How do we know that that's not what we experience when we do die? That?
Or what if we're dead and we just think we're alive? It's like,
yes, we think we're alive, but we're really dreaming.
It's like at the end of what we think is life, we find out that we've been dead all along. It's like, psych, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
like that terrible, like The Others, or that Nicole Kidman movie.
No, yeah. Yeah, like I used to say all the time, I see dead people, mainly because I worked in a funeral home, so.
But this is like, don't even, Jane. Oh, you do see dead, yeah. Did you ever see any ghosts or have any supernatural experiences when you were?
Yes.
When you were doing that?
Yes, I did. Patricia's like, don't even, Shane. Oh,
yeah, I will.
What you're
talking about?
Yeah, it's one I don't even like to talk about. I mean, it was the only time that I have really encountered something that was way beyond me. I mean, it was unimaginable. But I lived, my wife at the time and I lived in the dorm, which was connected to the funeral home, and it was like a 2,500 square foot dorm, and so we lived there. It was 4 room. I mean, it's huge. And but at night, and this is no lie, I mean this, and I didn't say anything to her because I had lived there before we got married, and I didn't say anything to her because I didn't want her to think that I was crazy or whatever. And I thought, well, if she hears it, then it's for real. And so we're laying in bed one night, and she said, what is that? What's going on? And it literally sounded like that there was a marching band, like a big band, like big band music, like from like the 20s or 30s. I mean, like really, old fashioned, movies, and it was, you could hear the drums, and you could hear people singing, and there was nobody there. There was nobody in the building, and it was not.
Wow.
It was no cars. I mean, there was nobody around, and then you start hearing raps on the walls, knocks on the walls and stuff. And she said, "What is that?" And I said, "I honestly don't know." I said, it happens about once a week. And she said, "Is this place haunted?" And I said, "Well, you tell me. I mean, you know. So, but yeah, and there's, you know, more things like that happened, and I don't know if it was, you know, because it was a funeral home, or it was also a former Church of Christ. I have no idea, but we will talk about that and more when we come back. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be back in 3 minutes. So. And we are back. Okay. Let's see. Stacy's saying I actually take medicine so I don't dream because I got too tired of fighting all the evil spirits. I got too tired of fighting the apocalypse. I got tired of fighting evil every night. So I'm on my dreams have been repeats from childhood, and they keep repeating and repeating and repeating. I still get my visitors and have their requests for me to follow, but my night terrors are being suppressed. Now, when you say you get your visitors that they have their requests for you to follow, what exactly do you mean by visitors?
Are you talking about entities or?
Yeah, that's my question.
Fighting. So you're still having the same repetitive childhood dreams and nightmares. Did you have a traumatic childhood? Did you have some painful experiences? My son was the one that, my oldest son, that always used to see shadow people and figures. He would spook me up talking to me about it. Oh, so Stacy sees people that are deceased. Are they usually people you know?
Thank you on that, Stacy. So the visitors that you talk about, I mean, are they entities? I mean, do you sense that
She's saying dead people.
Okay.
I believe so, yes. Definitely, Patricia. Traumatic events are what make the energy denser and darker. It's just, I mean, trauma, it's something that you can't see, but it makes even the air that changes everything.
Well, too.
So it changes.
Too. It's one thing to have trauma, but then it's something that is completely different with some trauma, because it really goes beyond I guess you could say human imagination. I mean, it's just so
exactly.
terrible.
And like what Patricia was saying, that fear and other negative emotions, it becomes like a snowball, going downhill, getting bigger and bigger.
Right. And usually it's a type of the fear produces energy, and one feeds off of it, and then it's like more feed off of it. So it's very much like parasites. I mean, it's not good. Not good.
Like there was actually a children's cartoon called Wreck-It Ralph, and it was part 2, and it was talking about how viruses get into a video game, that they find a weakness or insecurity, and then they start making copies of that, and then the copies end up taking over the game, and it becomes so big that it actually even breaks out and it starts to infect other areas. Right,
and that is what I have always said is in helping people with dark entities, or what they thought was dark entities, demons, whatever you want to call them. I mean, interdimensional beings, whatever. They definitely feed off of fear, negativity, rage, and I'm not talking about just getting angry. I'm talking about being like in a murderous rage, and it just becomes like she said, a snowball effect. But one thing that is very, very consistent in 27 years is everyone that have called me or have asked me to help them, or some member of their family, it all started with deception, and the main way was always appearing as a deceased relative or as a. Let me tell you. I'm going to tell you now, and you can take it for what it's worth. In my experience, 27 years, I have never, ever seen any spirit guide that was for the betterment or for there to help that person. Now,
are you talking about your own spirit guides that you've seen?
I don't have spirit guides.
Well, then how would you know about other people's spirit guides?
What I'm saying is I have dealt with things, entities that at first that's how they gained entry into this person's life, is by is by appearing to be a spirit guide, and I will help you to be enlightened. I will, do this, I'll do that. And it turns out they're not a spirit guide. They're not there to help that person do anything. They're there to harm them, intentions. And I don't mean to burst anybody's bubble. I mean, you don't have to believe me, but I also have ever seen or been convinced that there was ever any deceased person that ever came back. It has always been, in my experience, it has always ended up as a negative entity pretending to be that person. And if you think about it, how would you best deceive? How would you really gain entrance into someone's life? You would pretend to be their loved one that had passed away, that they yearn for every day. I mean, and
I don't know. I felt my mother after she passed, and
well, you felt her.
I felt her, and I felt her advice as well.
Okay,
I can't explain it.
Well, I'm not talking about that, because that's normal. I'm talking about people that I have talked to that are terrified because these things come to them, and sooner or later the mask comes off, the facade's over, and it's like every person just about they thought that the spiritual realm was all false. They didn't believe in it, and when it happened they became believers, and they're, whoa, this was it was a total life-changing thing. And but I'm talking about they not only feel them, but they see them, and I have seen them, not as a person, but more like a shadow or a dark figure or a fleeting.
Right.
But nevertheless, it was like a bipedal, human looking entity or whatever. But and this is something, and I know that we're getting off topic, but this is something that is taking places in some of these charismatic churches, where they're laying hands on people and crazy. I mean, you've got people
I know.
that are barking like dogs, and they're crawling around on the floor. And this one nut job. I mean, she should win the nut job of all time. Heidi Barker. I mean, the lady, or Baker. I don't know what her name is, and I really don't care. She's an idiot. She gets up to preach. Okay, yeah, but instead of saying anything, she starts laughing and like cackling, like laughing, and just goes into this trance by laughing, and that is possible. You can go into an altered state by laughing like she does. It's like ritualistic, and I have seen that a lot of times in charismatic churches and different churches. And for you charismatics out there, I'm not talking about all charismatics. I'm talking about like Bethel Church, and those of you that know about Bethel Church in Redding, California, that's where it started. They're nut jobs, okay? And if anybody's got a problem with that, send me an email, we'll talk, because I'm serious. There is nothing good about that. And the proof's in the pudding. I mean, there are people that have been there, and I dealt with a woman in Las Vegas that went to a branch of that Bethel church, and she called, she sent me, and very lengthy, very detailed, and she told me that she thought that she was being attacked by demons, and I said, okay, tell me about it, So we did, video chats, we talked on the phone and everything, and so one thing led to another, and I found out that she had been to this Bethel church, and they laid hands on her, and there's three main ways that demons or these interdimensional entities, negative, are transferred. They're transferred by number one, by sex. The two become one. Okay, by sex. Number two is by blood, and I mean like blood rituals, which is rare, but it does happen. And number three is the laying on of hands, which is not just putting your hands on someone and saying a few things. It's also ritualistic. It is literally the intention of passing a blessing, curse, and in this case it would be these entities. And she said, she said they prayed for me, and she said, and I felt really good. She said, they were telling me, take the Holy Spirit, and she said, I left, and she said, and then she said, a few days later, she said, my life just falls apart. She said, I was, suicidal. And so she called the church, and they told her to come back, and they would pray for her again. And I said, oh, man. I said, so you went back to the very ones that, caused this? She said, yes. She said, that's what they said, that's what they told me to do. And I said, and what did they do? She said, well, they did the same thing. I said, and she said, I felt even worse. And I said, well, the reason is because they added to it, And this woman, I mean, she wasn't crazy. She wasn't ignorant. I mean, this woman, she at one time owned a multi-million-dollar business. I mean, she was very affluent, very intelligent, and but after a while, after about a month, she asked me to come to Las Vegas, and I flew there and spent 4 days at her mom's house with her. And let me tell you, it was really something. She would be sitting there, and I would begin confronting these things within her, not just attached to her, but within her. And people say, well, that's just your mind, that's just your imagination. No, she had a ball that was the size, almost the size of a tennis ball, that came up on her arm, and it would literally run under her skin, up her arm, into her neck, and back down her arm, and it would loop around her arm, and the whole time I'm against this thing, and it really some really heavy stuff, and but she
No, I don't think he's saying that, Stacy. I think Stacy thinks that you're saying that Dad was an evil spirit, or the things that she sees.
No.
Yeah.
No. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that if
you're saying that you've
be
seen
careful.
Dead relative masquerade.
I'm saying be careful. It's just like the Bible says, and for good reason. It says test the spirits. Just because you see light, because you see an angel of light doesn't mean that it's good. It says test the spirits, and that's the problem is people they miss their loved ones so much that when they appear, it's like they don't question it, they don't test the spirits, and they just accept it because and trust me, these things know they know human nature, and they know exactly what buttons to push, and it's insane. No, I'm not saying. Think about it. I'm not the authority because I haven't seen who you've seen. So who am I to say that they were bad? I'm just saying be careful. Just be very careful because.
No, but as far as Stacy goes, it seems like she has more a gift to see that side than others. So, but she doesn't. They're not. I don't think she's saying that they're making her. I mean, if it's evil spirits, test them. Are they trying to make you do something?
Right.
Are they trying to lean you in a certain direction? Are they trying to cause strife in your life? And with my mother, of course, my mom is, to me, more giving me insight into why she did things in her life, how it was to be a woman growing up. I just get like these, where I almost feel like she's talking to me, where she's talking to me about high school, talking to me about, growing up when, how she dealt being a vice president of an accounting firm and the men she had to deal with. I can't explain it, but she's just kind of showing me the stuff that she's gone through, and it's helping me in my life. It's giving me insight as a woman, but she's not talking to me. It's more of I'm thinking about my mom, I'm thinking about memories, but I'm feeling like she's there.
Right. And she, very well may be, but it's like I've, said for years, it's, there's people that ask me, do you talk to spirits? I'm like, no. Can you? Well, I probably could, but I don't. I don't do it, even if someone were to appear that said that they were my family member or somebody that had died. I wouldn't do it because to me, in my experience, it's like playing Russian roulette. You never know. I mean, and I'm not talking about you, Stacy.
Are you saying stranger danger, Shane?
Yes, I'm saying stranger danger. Exactly. Cover, be on guard.
When are you talking to these spirits? Or that you got to ask yourself: Are you experiencing them in your dreams? Are you experiencing them in meditations, or are you experiencing them in your thinking that they're right in front of you? There's many differences, but I mean, I don't share the same scary view that you do, and I've had a lot of different experiences. What I've learned is it's kind of like what the Egyptians, I can't remember what I heard, but it's like all these beasts and monsters, come out. They used to put you in the sarcophagus, and they used to put them on certain hallucinatory drugs, and they were to stay in there until they overcame their worst fears. And they said they would have to go through all these horrible beasts and monsters, but in the end, they would tame the beast. All the beasts and monsters would become their helpers. You know what I mean? They would change based off of our perceptions. That was a terrible way to explain it, but like you said, it's the emotions that we have to, emotions that are not dealt with inside our subconscious, and they are going to manifest themselves in darker and darker ways until they're dealt with. You can only stuff something down so long. People don't understand that thoughts and emotions are things. You can't see radiation, but it's going to kill you. It gets to the level. It's the same things, and we're not taught, and we don't have that same understanding of emotions, being actual tangible things.
Right.
But they are.
Right. Absolutely right, and that's very, very.
And I think that's why we all need each other. Like, going constantly, in your dream and having to save everybody from the fire. I hope, in your next dream, I pop in, Shane pops in, you get some people to help you put out the fire.
Yeah, matter of fact, I mean, I didn't even know this about you, Stacy. I mean, if you had, said something, I mean, I would have, I mean, just know that you're not alone. I mean,
yeah, and we're all going through life together too. We all come together. Like, something in the Bible that was special to me was, that we are the body of Christ. We are the arms, we are the head, we are the legs, so we are the representation. It's us. How I looked at it in a spiritual way, it's us doing it. We're the ones. You know what I mean? What did Jesus say? Did you feed the homeless? Did you help the widow? Did you help this? Were you there for each other?
Right.
Love everyone like you love yourself. And that's what we have to learn to be, is how to be there for each other.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And not all of us always grow up stable or understanding or, functional families or situations. And, sometimes, we need to go to, places and platforms like this, and overcoming our fears, like with you and me, Shane, overcoming our fears of speaking and of sharing, and, and being able to, reach out and help people and be helped by helping others. And and we end up all helping each other.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're all in this together. I mean, no one is, no one's by themselves, unless they want to be.
They are by themselves and they don't want to be, but we just have to learn and teach each other. And, I know just when I think it's, it's getting as dark as it can be, something, just happens right away. I mean, like meeting you, Shane, like that was a wonderful point in my life. and things just happen, at the right time, and that synchronistic, pronounce it for me.
Synchronicity.
Thank you. Start to happen, and then more things, and before you know it, that snowball going down the hill is, it's a good snowball, a fun snowball.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah. I mean, I didn't mean anything, by that. I was just basically about you, trying to, protect you. And sometimes I can be a little overprotective, so you have to forgive me for that. I didn't was just looking out for you because I've seen so many people that have really suffered big time by believing
I have seen a lot of those people, but they are also caught up, and they're also being manipulated by people around them.
Right.
And they're very susceptible, and they can make people, just like those, charismatic churches, and make people, think something, or, and they buy it hook, line, and sinker because they're sad, they're desperate, they're lonely, they're hurting, and, when you're in that kind of situation, you're open for a lot of darkness to come in, and, people are ugly when you're strangers.
Well, it's,
that song.
Yeah, it is so, it's so sinister because, people are at their lowest and at their weakest, and they're wanting to their heart's breaking. I mean, they miss this person and things, and and then these these intelligent, much more intelligent than we are, they know exactly how to use that. And I'm not saying every time, I'm just saying be on guard. Don't let your guard down, Stacy, that is, thank you. Say no worries, I'm glad someone's looking out for me. That is what I do. It's just, I don't know. I mean, it's like I have this instinct. Don't ask me. I just, you can ask Patricia.
A representation of the divine masculine.
I don't know about divine, but definitely, yeah.
Oh, we're all working on it. We're all working on it.
But one thing is, I'll look out, and when I see something that might hurt you or might cause you misery or pain or whatever, I'll say something, even if it makes you mad or whatever, or makes the person mad, as that's fine with me, as long as I can save them from going through that misery and that heartache. That's just not good. So, but it's that people that have lucid dreams, people that have that can astral travel. I'll thank you, Tricia. You're a sweetheart. They definitely have they can see through the veil, through the dimensional veil, if you want to call it that. And many times it's like there's some that they feel like they're living a dual life, like a dual citizenship, because they're living in this life and they're observing things in this life, but they can see through that veil and it's like they're living two lives. They're living a life here, and they're living, they're watching things go on there. And for some people, I believe that's the truth. I mean,
I cried when it was a year, and I tried so hard to have another out-of-body experience, and to fly. I literally cried when I couldn't do it. I mean, I missed doing it so much. I mean, to feel everything just like you are now, like you can pinch yourself, and to be able to just fly in the air like you see on TV and feel that, there were times I thought, like, I didn't want to come back. I wanted to go back into that, But, at times, I wish everybody could learn to do that, at least. I mean, can you imagine what we could do and accomplish if, every night we were just trained to do that? I mean, I know I've heard of, like, Einstein, coming up with all these things in their dreams, and, they must be lucid dreaming and, coming up with all these ideas and equations in their dreams. I mean, there's a lot of work we could be doing.
Right. And one thing about this one lucid dream that I had, and I'll just make it short, is I thought it was a lucid dream. I mean, to this day, I really don't know what happened, but I'm just going to give you an idea of what I think it might have been. Is I found myself in this, it was like an old monastery, like gray blocks, stones or whatever, and there were these monks. They were wearing like a monk's cowl and robe, and they were Oriental and just very very nice. They didn't speak, but they were very nice, and I don't know why they didn't speak, but it was more like you just knew that they were very kind, loving people. And so, like, old men, and young men, and all different ages, and they're not doing anything. So I'm there, leave it to Beaver. I'm there, and so I'm thinking, okay, this is a dream, so I can do what I want to do, right? And it's like, this is, I know I'm dreaming, I'm in control of this dream, and man, what a mistake that was, because I wasn't in control. What I did, and this has been years ago, but what I did in this, what I thought was a dream, was this monk was, standing in front of me, and I'm thinking, okay, this is not real, and that's the only reason I did what I did, is because I'm like, this isn't real, this is just a figment of my imagination. So I clocked this guy. I mean, I like square on the jaw and bring him down on his knees, and next thing I know, both of my arms are grabbed by these two big goons. I mean, these two big monks, really big guys. And what was really, really hurt me about it is the guy got back up, and he wasn't even mad. He just looked at me like he was really sad that I had, done that. And so I,
Patricia must have known you for a while.
Yeah, she has. Yeah. Doesn't surprise you though, does it? But it's so these two guys, they take me into this big room, this big place that has a semicircular, like a college classroom, where it's like a half circle, but it's an incline, where the seats go up, like in college, how. And there were all of these old men, these old monks that were sitting there. It wasn't packed, but there were, I don't know, there was like 20 or 30 in there, and they were all looking at me like, oh man, it's so sad what you did, And I'm thinking, good grief. Well, I look over, and there's this guy sitting at this what looked like a judge, sitting, and I'm like, oh my God, So he's got to take me up, and I don't know what's going on. He just looks at me, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm in big trouble, And he, I don't know. I mean, he didn't say anything. He just looked at me. I could just see it in his eyes, He wasn't mad at me. He felt sorry for me. And I guess he told him, let him go, So they led me out, and the guy I hit was standing there. And I'll never forget it. And it just, it brings tears to my eyes. He looked at me, and he made a fist, and showed me his fist, and he shook his head no. And then he opened his hand and extended it towards me, open, like he was giving me something, and he shook his head yes and smiled. And then I was back, I woke up, and it was like, wow, if that's a powerful message for nothing to be said, So, yeah, that's my experience in a lucid dream, if that's what it was. But then I started thinking about, people that, die in their sleep. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what if that had been like a real judge, and he always had the power to do something. What if he just said, okay, you're going to stay here and you're going to serve a sentence? And, I'm thinking, would people find me, and say, oh, he just died in his sleep, when that's not the case. I'm actually serving a sentence somewhere for something I did, and that's just it. If you ever find me dead in my sleep, come bust me out wherever I'm at. So.
Well, unfortunately, we got a new body issue.
Yeah. But it's.
That's what I was scared of with the out-of-body experiences too. That I wasn't breathing, or that I was experiencing a near-death experience, and I was in the process of dying at the time, and this was the stage. Who's to say that it isn't what happened? Because I'm reading a lot of literature where they actually believe in that astral plane is where you stay at right after you die, and then you move on to a higher plane from there. So
right.
So maybe I'm practicing.
I think we all are. Trish, you say it's not nice to punch monks. It's not nice to punch anybody. I mean, it would be one thing if he did something to me, like, but, yeah, for me, just to hit him.
Yeah,
but it's like I said.
Going into a dream where you could, you thought you were going into a dream where you could do whatever you want.
I thought he's not real. He's a figment of my imagination, so, this will be fun.
Right.
And, whoa.
It doesn't have consequences.
Yeah, and it's like, man, I found out, it does, sometimes it does, or seems to. Anyway, good night, Stacy. Sweet dreams to you, and I think we're going to call it a night too.
I think
we reached the 2-hour mark, so Monk Fight Club did not end well. That's hilarious.
Or monk fight or fight club. Or monk fight club. Your monk fight club.
Yeah. Which that movie, man, you want to talk about a mind trip.
I wanted to say one thing because I understand what you're saying, Shane, and it was actually Patricia. I think she brought up the movie Insidious.
Okay, I didn't see that.
I really loved those movies, and I'll have to write them down. There's a couple of, like, spooky ones like that, but I thought they were really accurate.
Oh, yeah.
They did go into the realms, and I'm not saying, and I think what Shane's saying, there's absolutely diabolical evil out there. The people that we were talking about that can do the MK Ultra experiments, people murder children, rapists. There's some evil energy out there, and and all that evil energy then to get into areas of weakness. So I mean, I definitely understand what you're trying to say, Shane, about being careful and testing the spirits, just like we have to test people we meet. It's the same way. So yeah, I'm glad Patricia just mentioned that, because it kind of, I think I was in my Lottie fairy tale world. But yes.
Yep.
We have to deal with, we on this world we deal with good and evil, and we have to,
That's right. And yes, Patricia, I believe in a lot of other people, scientists, physicists. My buddy Elon Musk, he's my buddy. He's like my best friend in my mind. I think that we would be like best buds if we could ever hang out. We'd have like really good conversations, and just with Sue Ellen, of course, because can't leave Sue Ellen out. So it would be the three of us. I mean, we would probably talk until doomsday.
The three amigos.
Yeah. But
Patricia, I'm going to chain myself to my bed.
So you don't go anywhere. But which when you think about it, and then we'll close, is Elon Musk has said, as well as Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Dr. Sylvester James Gates Jr., Dr. James Gates, look these people up and see what they've said. Elon Musk said that it is, they asked him, they said, what are the odds that we are living in a computer simulation? Now, if you want to look at a computer program as a dimension, that would be more what I'm talking about. He said that it would be more like, it would be 1 in a billion chance that we're not living in a simulation. This is Elon Musk. I mean, he said that he thinks that it is a 1 billion to 1 chance at least that we are living in base reality, in the real world.
And their premise is, if it can be created, it's already been created.
Right. And look at video games now, like the modern, like the most up to date ones. When you're playing them, but I've seen people play them. When you play them, and you're wearing the headset and everything, and you turn around. Okay, what's behind you when you turn around? Nothing. But it all of a sudden it fills in, right? Those pixels, they fill in, like if you twist around really fast, there's nothing there. It's completely gone. It's completely white, blank. But then it fills in. Okay. Now, the reason I said that is because of Einstein talking about the double slit experiment and how that no test can be uncompromised because the observer affects the outcome. And what he proved is that simply by observing something, your mind, your consciousness makes it real. So in the video game, when you turn around and there's nothing there, but it fills itself in, that's just like the premise of it's a possibility, it's a probability, it's a wave until you look at it, until you observe it, and when you observe it, it becomes particle, it becomes solid, just like the video game. So,
it's saying that you can influence something by observing.
Right.
You can change something by observing it.
Just by observing it. You don't have to have any intent or anything. Just by looking at it, and it's like if you're this is what.
But by your very nature, I don't think you could not have intent.
Right.
I mean, if it's in you, whether you know it or not, whether it's unconscious or
right.
But you're aware.
But this is what is so shocking about it is, say like it's a couch or it's a chair or it's a car or it's a field, it's a building. Okay, when you're not looking, when you're not observing it, it's not there. Just like in a video game, we tend
to... If somebody is not observing it, it's not there.
Right. I mean, that's what I meant to say. If it's not being observed, then, it's not there. So it's just like the video game. We tend to think that everything's going on in that video game in every area, and that's just not the case. It's only when you go into certain places in that video game, in that program, that it opens up and becomes real, that it opens up and to where you can interact with it. And then when you leave, it's not there. It's conservation of energy, power, whatever. But anyway, we have gone 2 hours, 10 minutes, and it's been great. I've really enjoyed it. But
a great show, and we made it to the 2 hours without throwing us off. So
yeah, well that lot really worked, so I love it.
Good. Good.
But anyway, yes, and thank you everyone took part in the live chat. Thank you for those of you that listened and didn't take part. You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are all awesome.
Yeah, it makes it great when you share your thoughts, your stories and stuff. It really pumps me up.
Oh yeah.
And if
a wonderful group.
Yes, absolutely. And we have new listeners in Vietnam, in Guam, in Paraguay, Estonia. I could read the list. It's like 40 different places, and I will read that list next time. And coast to coast, cities all over the U.S. It's really been a really rough month, but man, it's really reaching a lot of people. despite it, so in spite of it. So I thank every listener and people that are platforms that are that have the show and that are running it. I appreciate you, and those of you that want to contact us, you can contact us at the Texorcist podcast at gmail.com, and so I would, if you have any show ideas, topics that you want to talk about, or whatever, please, send us a message, and we will get on it. So anyway,
darn tootin'.
That's right. So, Sue Ellen, do you have anything to add or whatever? And
No, and it was wonderful, getting to know you ladies a little more tonight.
Absolutely, they're great.
Awesome group.
They are.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Patricia, it just, my tummy hurts from laughing. And trying to pretend I'm not laughing.
She's a hoot. Well,
but
anyway.
Now she scared me. I was going to try to have an out-of-body experience, and she had to bring up Insidious.
Oh, yeah. So. Yeah, that woman.
You're going to have to watch that. You're going to have to watch that movie, Shane. All this about it. You're going to have to watch it.
Oh, I have watched it.
Oh,
Elise,
you have? Oh.
Elise, she is, man, I mean, I was like, man, that woman, she is cool. I mean, I really like her. She's, doing that, you cannot walk in and be like meek and scared, and I mean, you have to walk in like she does and take charge and just stand there even when you're scared. And man, I mean, that woman plays a really good role. Yeah, very convincing. But anyway, well,
alrighty.
Good night, everyone. Love and light to you all. Love you all. Good night. We will see you next time.
All right.